In this video, you'll discover my step-by-step guide on how I stay productive 98% of every day. In my opinion, being productive isn't about how many hours you can work in a given day, but rather it's about how can we use the time that we have each day in a way that allows us to get a lot of things done. This video is going to be especially helpful for people who feel burnt out or people who feel like they're spinning their wheels endlessly and putting in a lot of effort into their work, yet they're not completely satisfied with their results. If this sounds like you, then I truly believe that this video is going to be life-changing for you, so make sure you stick around until the very end. We can't talk about increasing productivity without first talking about mission and vision. When I was still in school, I had a hard time paying attention in class or doing my homework when I was back home because I simply didn't have a strong, compelling reason to do so. From a very young age, I already knew that I would start an online business later on. Therefore, 99.9% of the things they taught in school, they simply seemed irrelevant to me. The reason I'm telling you all of this is to show you the importance of having a why, a mission, a vision. If you don't have a real, deep, and powerful reason to do something, you simply won't do it. I think that in this day and age, we tend to beat ourselves up for being quote-unquote lazy. But what many people seem to forget is that as human beings, we are literally biologically programmed to be lazy. Think about it. Why would it make sense for us to be programmed to be running around 24/7, wasting our precious energy on meaningless tasks? From an evolutionary perspective, it wouldn't make any sense, because not so long ago, and it's still the case in some parts of the world, we didn't have access to food like we do today. Nowadays, for most of us at least, if we're hungry, all we have to do is to go and pick something up from the fridge. You can even get groceries or takeout meals delivered straight to your door. So knowing all that, I think it becomes quite clear that if you don't have a strong enough reason to do something, you simply won't do it. If you find yourself procrastinating a lot, dreading getting started and working on your business for instance, then your why might not be strong enough. And even if you think that your why, your mission, and your vision are already strong enough as they are, I still invite you to sit down in a quiet room with a piece of paper and a pen and to write down all of the different reasons as to why you want to reach your goals. By doing this, you simply make it unreasonable for you to keep procrastinating. Now, we can't talk about productivity without touching on the importance of properly fueling the machine. Think about it. You could have the fastest, the most beautiful Ferrari in the world, but if you put the wrong fuel inside of the tank, you're just going to damage the car and you won't be able to go anywhere with it. Now compare that to having a small car. It's not really that powerful. Think of a Fiat Mini, but if you put the right fuel in the tank, you're going to go a lot further, a lot faster than with a Ferrari that's broken down and needs repairing. What I'm really trying to say with this metaphor is that your body works the same way. As woo-woo as this might sound, you are not your body technically speaking. You are the consciousness inside of your body. Your body, just like a car, is simply the vehicle that you use to go through life. And so just like a car needs the proper fuel in order to function correctly, your body needs to be fueled correctly as well. That is, if you want to reach your highest potential. And unlike some people think, fueling the body, fueling the machine, it's not all about nutrition. Sure, what you eat is a key component of it, but in this video, I'm not going to lecture you on the fact that you have to eat healthy. I think that you already know what foods are good for you and what foods are not, what foods are healthy, which foods are not. So as long as 90% of what you consume is healthy, unprocessed, and natural, you'll be just fine. Technically speaking, nutrition shouldn't be something that you have to worry about. Now, when it comes to fueling your machine for maximum productivity, we obviously have to talk about sleep briefly. In order to be at your highest possible capacity on a daily basis, to feel at your best, to produce at your best, it all comes down to the four following elements: sleep, nutrition, stress regulation, and exercise. We've covered the importance of good nutrition, but when it comes to sleep, 1/3 of adults in the US alone are getting less than the recommended amount of sleep per night, which falls somewhere between 7 to 9 hours for most people, and 20% of adults globally, meaning over the world, suffer from insomnia. Some time ago, I read this book by Matthew Walker called Why We Sleep. In that book, he explains the importance and the impact that sleep has on our lives. If you struggle to get good, high-quality sleep on a regular basis, then I'm going to give you a few tips that I personally use pretty much every day and that helped me to fix my sleep issues. First, what I did was to pick a set wake-up time. Now, I don't use a regular alarm clock. Instead, I use one of those lights that simulate the sunrise. I've found that it helps me to wake up feeling more refreshed. The reason for that is because if you use a traditional alarm clock, it's probably going to wake you up in the middle of one of your sleep cycles, which is going to make you a lot more tired. I like to get up early, so I program my wake-up light to wake me up anywhere from 5:30 a.m. all the way up to 6:30 a.m. On most days, I'm out of bed before 6. Then at night, what you want to do is to go to bed only when you are starting to feel sleepy. If you can't fall asleep within 10 to 15 minutes and you find yourself turning and tossing in bed, just get up, get out the room for a few minutes, and then try to go back to bed. What I've found is that for me at least, the simple fact of just walking outside the room and then coming back in helps me to, when I go right back to bed, fall asleep easier. And the other thing that I did, and that significantly improved the quality of my sleep, was to have an hour or two to unwind before bed. So during that hour or two, I'm not going to do anything that's work related in any way. I can pretty much do anything I want as long as it doesn't spike up my cortisol levels. What I usually do is that I grab my Kindle and I start reading in bed. I found that when I turn off my laptop and instead I go read on my Kindle in bed, I tend to sleep a lot better because Kindle devices emit a lot less blue light than other devices such as smartphones, laptops, tablets. And blue light is known to keep you awake at night because it's sending signals to your brain, making it believe that you need to stay awake and alert because it's still daytime, when in reality, it's time to go get some rest. Now that we've covered sleep and nutrition, let's talk about exercise quickly. One of the reasons why exercise is going to boost your productivity is because it's going to increase your overall energy levels. For a lot of people, what I've noticed is that it sounds counterintuitive at first that exercising will give you more energy. And it's not like their logic is completely flawed, because technically, it would definitely make sense to be more tired after you worked out. But what really happens is that by exercising, you are making your body understand that it needs to stay alert. Therefore, you will feel a lot more energized throughout the day than if you just spend all day sitting at a desk or laying on the couch watching TV. I don't know about you, but when I spend the day doing absolutely nothing productive, I actually feel a lot more tired than compared to when I exercise and get a bunch of stuff done. Now, another key aspect of fueling the machine is stress regulation. I like to say that if you don't control your level of stress, then your stress will control you. Now, I'm not a doctor, nor am I an expert on stress, but I will say that I genuinely believe that 80 to 90% of the stress that we feel on a daily basis, we're actually creating it ourselves. Now, I'm obviously not including real stress-inducing events such as the loss of a close one, a breakup, losing your job, financial issues, or anything of the kind. But let's be honest here. Most of the time, we stress over things that really don't even matter. I tend to be a rather cynical person in general, but in order to regulate my stress levels, what I did was to try to shift my mindset and to focus on seeing the good in everything, even in the worst, compared to just being a pessimist. What I also did is that I forced myself to take responsibility for literally everything in my life. Think about it. If you're always complaining, you're constantly blaming other people and external circumstances because you genuinely believe that it's because of these things that you are not where you want to be in life yet, then you're never going to be able to move forward. Victims don't achieve anything. They get crushed by life. That's all they get. The people who win are the people who take full responsibility for their results. Control your mind and then you will control your reality. If you want to increase your productivity, you not only need to manage your stress levels, but then you also need to carefully regulate your dopamine levels. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger in the brain, which is responsible for motivation, reward, and pleasure. The issue is that in the world that we live in today, we have access to so much instant gratification that it's literally the easiest thing in the world to mess up your dopamine levels. Think about it. If you're used to constantly scrolling on social media, watching every single Netflix show the second it comes out, eating a lot of sugar, a lot of junk food, or browsing your favorite websites every day in incognito navigation, then how will you have any motivation whatsoever to do hard things like exercising, working on your business, working on that school assignment, going out and socializing, trying to make friends, trying to grow a network? If you're trying to build a business, the thing that you have to realize is that your phone is always going to give you more dopamine hits than sitting down at your desk and doing some deep work. And for most of you, if you're not enjoying working on your business, it's probably because your dopamine levels are way too high. If you want to build a successful, a profitable online business, it's going to require persistence, work, and time. And to be able to work at something for months and years, you actually need to enjoy it. All of the people that you see getting up at 5 a.m. or becoming successful business owners getting ripped, on the outside, it might look like they're phenomenal people with superhuman levels of willpower and determination, but in reality, they're successful at whatever it is that they do because they enjoy it. No one has the willpower, nor the determination, nor the discipline to keep doing something for months and years that they completely despise and that brings them no results. The key to success is actually to enjoy the daily process, because success never happens overnight. People who enjoy the process are a lot more likely to stick with it long term. But the issue is that if you're constantly skyrocketing your dopamine levels because you're on social media, you eat all this sugar, all this junk food, you're watching TV, you'll find it almost impossible to enjoy the daily process. The thing that you have to realize is that your brain is not actually meant to think long term. Your brain doesn't care about your long-term goals. It cares about what's happening right now in the present moment. That's why we automatically default to instant gratification, and it's also the reason why it's so hard to stop doing the things that feel good right now, even if we know that these things are robbing our future self of a beautiful life. So my advice to you is this: cut back on how much instant gratification you indulge on a daily basis. For some of you, you might even consider doing a dopamine detox. I'll put up a card that will give you access to a video I made teaching you the step-by-step process that you can use to successfully complete a dopamine detox. The other thing that helps me to stay productive is to follow a set routine. Contrary to what you're shown in movies, the result of massive success, no matter the endeavor, is simply to follow a set routine over and over again. Think about it. You don't get in shape by just working out today, eating healthy today, and then never doing it ever again. Just like you don't gain unwanted body fat by eating one burger right now. It all takes repetition. What a routine does is that it allows you to get into a habit of doing the things that you need to do in order to reach your goals. What I personally do is that I plan my day the night before so that when it's time to do the things that I planned, I know exactly what I have to do. I don't have to think about what should I do. No, it's already written down, so I just get to work. That way I avoid wasting time. So when it comes to routine, what you want to do is that you want to have a basic structure that you can follow pretty much every day. Yes, of course, you will have to do different tasks over the course of a week, but you can always routinize some tasks and turn them into habits. For instance, one of my daily routines is to exercise at 11 a.m. every single day. That way, I don't have to wonder about, oh, when should I exercise today? Because my routine clearly states that I must complete a workout every single day at 11 a.m. I'm going to be honest, I don't really like the type of advice that most videos on productivity give you on environment. Like most of the time, all that they're telling you is that if you've got the wrong environment, you're going to fail. And that supposedly environment is everything when it comes to success. And even though I most certainly agree with the fact that environment is super important because it influences you on every possible level, what about the people that don't yet have the possibility to go and live in an environment that is primed, optimized for growth? The truth is that success, while it can be accelerated or on the contrary, slowed down by external circumstances, I genuinely believe that if you really have it in you, you will succeed no matter your external circumstances. Think about it. Most of the people who went on to become incredibly successful, they're usually the ones who had to go through terrible childhoods and also traumatic events. What they simply did is that they took the weaknesses that they had, the obstacles that were in their path, and they used them as fuel. They used them in a way that was benefiting them. Because let's face it, they could have adopted the victim mentality and complained and blamed everything and everyone other than themselves. But they decided to take their obstacles and to turn them into a success. I like to say that pain can either crush you or make you stronger. It all depends on your perspective and how you're going to respond to the situation. So if at the moment you don't find yourself in the best environment, understand that you are not doomed to fail because of it. If anything, you have an advantage because it's actually forcing you to become a better version of you. It's forcing you to become stronger. So this means that you can handle a lot more than your competitor who's had an easy life. And you also have to realize that you yourself are also a part of your environment, meaning that you also get to influence your environment just as much as it influences you. For instance, if you're onto self-development, well, what's stopping you from initiating your friends and family to that world as well? Take responsibility for the results that you get in life. And if you do that, you'll get ahead of 99% of people who simply prefer to blame other people and external circumstances to explain why they're not where they want to be in life. Before I got started in business, I used to watch countless videos on YouTube about productivity or ways to make money online. I would be seeing all those people who claimed to work 12-hour days, to get up at 5 a.m. or to do hardcore versions of monk mode, and because of it, I was led to believe that if I wasn't working 24/7, then I would not succeed. So I tried to follow this hustle culture approach and to be working most of my waking hours, but the only thing that really happened is that as a result of that, pretty much all areas of my life suffered the consequences and negatively. I found out that working more hours didn't necessarily lead to more productivity, and if anything, it was the opposite. I would work more hours but get less stuff done. Most people mistakenly focus on how many hours they're working in a given day or in a given week, when in reality, it's not how long you work that matters, but it's what you produce, the quality of it and the quantity of it. What I implemented is something called deep downtime. I first stumbled upon this concept in the book titled Deep Work by Cole Newport. The concept is simple. Let's say at 5:30 p.m. you decide to stop all work-related activities, and then you take that time off to let your brain rest. At first, I had such a hard time implementing the concept of deep downtime because if I wasn't doing something work-related, then I felt guilty. But what I found is that by working less hours in a given day, my productivity levels increased. Many studies have shown that when people were given a 4-day workweek instead of the traditional 5-day workweek, their productivity increased by 40% on average, and employees wasted less time and took less breaks. The truth is that you cannot be grinding and hustling 24/7. It's just not possible. Sometimes doing more will not bring you more results, and in fact, a lot of the time it's going to be the opposite. So what I recommend is that you create your own shutdown ritual. So for instance, it could be that at 5 p.m. every day you stop anything that is work related, and then you take the rest of the day off to do the things that you want to do. And I guarantee that if you do this, the next morning when you sit down at your desk to do some deep work, your productivity is going to be significantly increased because you will have taken some time to rest. You can't be in the grind 24/7. Think about it. If you're in the gym, you're trying to build some muscle mass. If you were lifting all day long and then you don't eat, you don't sleep, you're not going to make any muscle, and yet you're spending all of your time in the gym. But muscle is destroyed when you work out. It's only repaired and it only grows when you rest and when you eat. The same applies to working. If you're working 24/7, you can't really replenish your creativity levels, so the work that you do, it just goes down in quality. And I personally believe that we shouldn't live to work, but rather we should just work to live. Let me know in the comments down below, what are some of the things that you learned in this video and that you're going to apply from now on? And with that said, I will see you in the next one.